All right, hello, this is Greg Herlean and my son Carson Herlean. This is Generational Gains, episode 4.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I feel like they're getting better as time goes on, for sure.
Yeah.
Also getting a lot of good feedback from some people on things that they want to hear from us or things that they'd like, so thank you for that. So today's subject, interesting, and I think it's something that people ask me often, and probably you even more often right now, and it's about building a business from scratch.
Yeah.
How, why and how. And we're going to talk about some of those questions. And that's what today's episode is on today, is building a business from scratch. Yeah. So, Carson, what's up?
Yeah, so I feel like my whole life growing up, I was always asked what my dad does for work. And I feel like I never had a good answer. I didn't totally understand it. And so I feel like I'm at the point now where I know exactly what you do. And so this should kind of give you a brief example or information of what he does. He owns a self-directed IRA custodian company, and essentially what that means is, everyone has retirement accounts, and they're typically stored with your employer or with a 401k administrator like Charles Schwab or Edwards Jones. And at these places, other people are managing your retirement funds in stocks or in bonds or whatever you guys talked about. But there's a way to move that IRA, that retirement account, into somewhere where you're in control of it and somewhere where you can manage it to buy real estate, to buy your business, to make other alternative investments, which you couldn't do otherwise. And it's just by changing where you keep the IRA. So his company, essentially, I'm doing good, right?
You're doing great. I'm impressed.
Okay,
It's 21
good.
years, but yes.
Good. So this company, it's a place where you can store your retirement accounts and have access to do whatever you want with it. You have complete control. So that's what a self-directed IRA custodian company does. And you started that company 10, 15 years ago?
14 years ago.
14 years ago. So now that they understand that, what motivated you to really start that business from scratch? Why not get into other sources of starting that business?
Well, first of all, this is just really nice that there's one out of my 4 kids that could explain that. You did a really good job, but it's not the easiest thing. In fact, most people don't know what you just said because it is so new. But what got me into my business was, first and foremost, I found a need because when I was out there doing real estate and people were using their retirement funds to partner with me, I had to introduce them to other trust companies, and their service was terrible. Yeah. So I found an opportunity to build a business from scratch.
Well, so what does a trust company mean? Because I feel like when I've heard Horizon Trust, I think, oh, they set up trusts. But that's not what you do, right?
Yeah, no. So our trust company is a custodian. We're a company that basically holds retirement accounts. Like we're an escrow company for retirement accounts. We hold people's monies until they tell us where to invest that money.
Okay.
That's it. We don't make decisions on their behalf. But really, by doing so, we're regulated by the banking division. Mm-hmm. And so since we're regulated that way, we make sure that people do and use the rules that the government has put in place correctly. Mm-hmm. So you can't just like open up an IRA account with me and then take out the money and use it for your own personal needs.
Yeah.
You can invest it like in a rental property or an investment. So that's what it is. So going back to your question, though, I got into it because first and foremost, it was a roadblock for me building my business. So I was trying to build my business and find investors with retirement funds, and I'd refer them to these other trust companies, and they took forever. And so what would happen is they would take so long, it would mess up my deals.
Yeah, you couldn't do it.
So I built that one from scratch because I was trying to solve what I believe to be an issue in the market. And I do think that's an important part. If people that are starting businesses, I think some of the best businesses aren't new ones. These aren't the ones that are like, I'm going to create this completely new product out of the blue. I kind of like what Richard Branson has built his businesses, as we all know, lots of businesses, based upon building something, making it better. So like the hotel business, the plane business, and go on and on. But he's created a business based upon doing it better, making it a little bit better than what it was before. So that's how I got into it, for 2 reasons: making a better service, but also I needed it. And so for me, I wanted to create it because I needed to get access to those type of accounts for my kind of deals.
So did you once you started this company, then did you do less of real estate and more building the business, or how'd that balance go?
Well, for the first couple of years, I focused primarily on not necessarily that business, just hiring the people for that business. I focused on real estate. But what I had found out is I grew this passion after the first 3 or 4 years of being in business, of teaching people things that no one really has heard of. And so again, starting from kind of the question you asked, like starting it from scratch, I learned in a few years that people didn't know about this subject.
Yeah.
And so to me, that was kind of fun and sexy and different. Because look, everyone knows about real estate. And I think most people you talk to, they think they're real estate experts. They're not.
Yeah.
Just because you buy and sell a home once or twice or even 5 times doesn't mean you're a real estate investor. And so I just kept hitting my head when I was in my young kind of 20s against the wall, because people I talked to about real estate were like, I already know about that, young guy. I got this.
Yeah.
And so it was hard. But when I started changing the subject to, let me teach you how to use an IRA in real estate, it was just different.
That makes
So
sense.
that's what got me excited about it.
That's really good.
But again, like flipping that question to you, you now are an entrepreneur, right? You've started down this road, this journey, your own journey. You made this decision of being an entrepreneur. Like, what made you want to start a business from scratch
Yeah.
at such an early age?
Yeah. I think it's a lot of just the environment I'm in. I think surrounding yourself with other entrepreneurs by default, just because you're born into it and around those type of people, or whether you're forcing yourself to be in that network, either way, if that's who you're around, that's the success you see, and you see how most of the people got that success from starting a business from scratch, being an entrepreneur. So I feel like it kind of just passes down those ideas of how to build a business, how to be successful, all comes from, I think for me, it's the environment I'm around. So I think right now, starting from scratch though, it's more so, I just want to learn. I want to be in the game and do it. And so starting from scratch is the best way to do that.
Yeah, I agree. So tell me, you've been hit up. I get hit up every day by it, but I feel like you've been hit up probably every week or maybe every month by different opportunities.
Yeah.
So how do you, in particular, how do you identify what opportunities you should pursue or not?
That's a good question, right?
Or is it too soon for me to ask that question to you?
It's almost too soon, but big picture, I think.
Is that happening? Are you getting hit up by different opportunities often?
I think in real estate, yes. And building other businesses or other partnerships, occasionally, not super often. But I think in real estate, for example, the way I'm managing that, deciding which deals to do, which deals not to, because I am getting sent a lot of opportunities, it just comes down to, in real estate, it's just a numbers game. So we can get 10 properties, and the more eyes we can get on every single property, the more likely we're going to get a deal. So the more volume we have, the more deals we're going to get. Mm-hmm. So finding the best deal is really just looking at the criteria for what our buying criteria is, and making sure the numbers work. There's no big issues with the property, and that's how we decide whether a deal is good or not, or whether the opportunity is good or not. Right now, in terms of big opportunities with partnerships or businesses, it's more so give me everything. I want to do every opportunity I'm given just to learn whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So, I guess I'm not really picking opportunities. I'm more so just pursuing every opportunity.
Mm-hmm. That's probably a natural thing, I think, for people when they're just starting their entrepreneur life. You're going to say yes to everything. Mm-hmm. I feel like I kind of did too, until you figure out what's going to work.
Yeah.
I would say something you said, one of our friends always says, is it's just math.
Yeah.
And I would go one step further when choosing and pursuing opportunities. Besides it just being math, I also would say you have to take the emotion out of it.
Oh, that's good.
And I think bad and real estate investors will invest with emotion. They'll invest based upon, I got to hit this goal, the emotion of closing a deal or what it could be.
A little bit of ego too, like at my deal, I want to get it done.
Yeah, and so like we got to do another deal to hit a number.
Yeah.
I think you need to take the emotion out of investing and make it just math. And so that's how I pursue most deals. It's a math equation, but it also is a relationship thing, and how much time I want to put into it. Because at this point, I can't accept all the deals that I see on a daily, weekly basis, and I don't want to. So it's got to really shine for me. The math's got to work, the right people, and how much time it's going to take for me. That's how I make
That's
decision.
good. If you were to give a 5-step process of how to start a company from scratch, what would you do? What are the 5 things you need to do to get that figured out? Start something.
I'd go to ChatGPT and I'd put the 5. No, I'm joking.
True.
No, look. I don't know if I'm going to give you 5, but I would say I think that's a fair question, and I think probably one of the most important questions. Like truly starting a business from scratch. And so I'm going to let you share as well. But you asked me, so I'll ask.
Yeah.
Starting from scratch, what does it take? And so for me, when I started, the best advice I can give is finding somebody who's doing it in your area. Like truly, like if you know somebody that's having success in your city, even outside of your city, now almost things are done virtually, but in particular where you live, I would find, and if you don't know them, go find them and then go work for literally free. Go spend the time. Like if you're into like, you want to be in real estate, but you're a videographer, or if you want to be in real estate, but you own a gym, but you want to be in real estate, you're going to have to sacrifice your time and go be, I don't want to say, but I'll say it. You're going to have to be kind of someone's bitch almost for a second. And I say that in a constructive way, meaning you're going to have to go work. And so I say that because that's what I did. I was someone's bee for a second because I was like, I want to be in this. I see the lifestyle. We talked about it kind of in the last. I saw the lifestyle. I want to participate in it. I didn't know how to do it. And so what happened is I went and worked in his office. He paid me way below minimum wage. And for 6 months, I did anything. I got his McDonald's, his dry cleaning. I went on appointments with him. I filled out the applications for the clients, for the different things he was looking at, different real estate, and I did everything. So what I got out of that though, even though he paid me hardly anything, is I got to see him in the business, finding how he was finding deals, where he was finding deals, who his lenders were. I mean, that's one of the questions people ask me all the time is, well, where do you start as far as lending goes? I can tell you actually right now where to go, but it's taken me years to get there. So the first piece of advice I'd say is find somebody in your area, go work for free. And when I say work for free, honestly, do all you can to support that person. And it will probably take a few months. So think about that right now. A lot of people go to school for like 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, and then they start their internship or they start from scratch at some business. All I'm saying is sacrifice 3 to 6 months. Put that in from a college perspective of getting paid little to nothing, but you learn all the ins and outs. And then from there, you might actually stay with that firm and be a potential future partner, but that would be the first advice I'd share. The second piece of advice I share is it's about money. I've always believed my business was based upon finding money. So the better you are at finding lenders and money, hard money lenders, private lenders, banks, you should be building up your Rolodex of money because I feel like you can always find deals. And so if you have this Rolodex of relationships or potential relationships that you can call when you find a deal, that can be your equity, your debt, a banker, your takeout. Now when you find a deal, you kind of have a recipe for doing your first flip. And so those would be the two, I think, most important things that you should jump into. So many people will go buy a course, go read a book, or go to a school or whatever. And I think the school of hard knocks, and maybe that was the wrong word I used in the beginning, but the school of hard knocks of doing the things that someone else isn't willing to do. If someone comes to my office and does the things, makes my life easier, and does the things I don't want to be doing, I love that. I'm going to want to help that person succeed. So anyways, those would be the two things that I would recommend anyone starting from scratch to do. So you have started from scratch as well. I want to be very clear. This was not Carson does not work for me. He's got his own business.
Yeah.
What would you say as far as business goes, like starting from scratch? What would you say the recipe is?
I
You're
think
still kind of working a little bit.
I'm still working on it, still starting it up. So I think what's been a struggle for us is maybe the speed in which we're going. Whether you're working really fast or really slow, there needs to be some sort of balance where you're in control and you're learning and you're doing it slowly enough where you understand it and can continue to repeat that process, but without going too fast, but without not doing a lot of work. You want to be able to I guess, what I've seen is when we get too ahead of ourselves, we start getting a little chaotic and it's hard to put things together. But if we go slow and kind of just be very methodical about every process, it makes it a little easier. So for me, what I've seen when starting a business from scratch is just taking our time and really thinking about every step and planning, brainstorming, outlining, and taking time to do that before just going forward and not really knowing what's happening. Does that make sense?
This is why he'd probably make more money than me, because I didn't do that step. I created processes after I'd created chaos. And I think it can work either way.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I created the chaos, and what I've loved learning, seeing Carson, is he does create processes and systems, and
that was something we were talking about last week with the CRM.
Yeah.
It's like you could start a company where you build out a CRM, you build out your systems of how you want to talk to people, your scripts, and then the business doesn't go through and you don't go anywhere. Or you could start with just going for it, doing a couple small things, learning it, still being methodical and planning it out, but then getting to the next step of then get a CRM, then hire, then get more employees after you kind of figure it out yourself.
Yeah, and look that, starting from scratch, I feel like we can keep going, and we will for a minute on this. Many people, I feel like, think they have to go to an event or buy this book or buy an LLC or get a realtor's license. Like, once I get my realtor's license, I'll be in real estate. Or, once I get my LLC, I'm a entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I didn't do all that right away. In fact, I never got my real estate license ever.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like, I got to go work hard. And I think that's one of the things that people forget. You've done this really well, all on your own. But when I go out and speak now, I feel like I go out to these events, and in the room, 25% of the audience is in their early 20s, and they're like, I want to drive the Ferrari and live this lifestyle, but first I got to get my coffee, and I'm gonna start at 10 a.m. I'm gonna start working at 10 a.m. I got to be done by 3 or 4 because then I got my afternoon cocktail hours, and it's no joke. And I see you doing this. I work still every morning and I love it, but you're responding to me. Sometimes you have questions and you're like, hey, I know you're up early. And so I feel like something that I have to say is working harder than you think. If you have a full-time job, I had an employee come to me and said, hey, I want to do real estate. He's bought all his education, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
But he wanted to work less at my office so he could do real estate. And I was like, hold on a second. I said, work your business with me, and then wake up early, stay up late. You should be working 60, 80, 100 hours a week in the beginning if you want to make this work, because you're going to have to still pay your bills and go to work, but then in all your free time, and again, doctors do this. Doctors go to school and then do all their internship and do all their clinical stuff, and they don't see their wives and kids because they put in 6, 12 months or 4 years of this. They don't see their families. So if you want to sacrifice your time and growth and make money, you're going to have to work more than 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a disconnect as I go out and travel, and people are like, I'm just going to work 10 to 3 and I'm going to have this passive lifestyle, because I've networked, and it's just not like that.
Yeah, 100%.
So I have to go back to this subject one more time. So starting from scratch, I just talked about, what I recommend based upon my experience. I want to dig a little bit deeper. Think about from your perspective right now. Most people probably, if you were to go to an office or your friend's office and say, "Hey, I want to work for you for free," you might get lots of no's for right now.
Yeah.
What are some things is there any tools that you're using or things that you're doing that might be relative or similar to have success?
Yeah. Well, I was actually yesterday hanging out with a guy who's my age, early 20s, and he's doing what you said, but in the modern way. He's not going
In the modern way, like I'm old.
Yeah, he's not going and knocking on doors to find who, copy them and learn from people, but he wants to be in the software space and build software for companies. And so instead of going to college, instead of finding someone to learn from, he has a YouTube, not YouTube, but some sort of certification online where he can learn all the skills necessary for that one specific tool, and it takes like 8 weeks. And he's like, after I have that certification, I can go and I can work at this big firm because I have that certification and I can start doing this. And so it was a great example to me. I'm like, dang, like there's so much we can do online that can teach us so much, because he's literally skipping all what normal software engineers want to do of school, and he's just doing an 8-week program. Apparently it teaches him all he needs to do to go and actually do it. And so that's something that most people in their 20s can do, is just start watching YouTube. Super easy. Go on YouTube, find certificates, find different places on Google to learn as much as you can about that one topic, because there's so much free education out there. And so, I mean, this friend of mine, he said he's going to finish this program, and right out of the program, he's starting a $300,000 paying job with the firm building software. And his goal is in 2 years to leave it after he learns everything he needs to, and start his own company with a business partner, and he'll build the software for it. Yeah. And so like that's exactly what you did, but different. He's just going to do it online and then work in an office, learn it from the professionals, and then go do it himself. And so, I mean, what he's doing is exactly that.
You heard it here first. The modern way of doing it is it's all on your fingertips.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, kind of, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I heard Gary Vee saying something the other day. He was like, our generation, talking about himself, your generation, it took a long time to build wealth, and took a long time to build businesses because you had to. Everything was in person with meeting with people, and you couldn't get to as many resources. He's like, today, you have so much at your fingertips. You can build a business and become super wealthy super quick. You can build a company very fast because everything's at your fingertips. You have all the technology in your hands, which you didn't have. Imagine if you started your business and you could reach everyone in the country like that. Mm-hmm. Like it would have changed the game. You would have built it in 5 years instead of 10 or 15. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's huge what we can do.
Yeah, that kind of, I think to your point, is very well said, because it intimidates me. There's some people my age or older that have really honed in on that and done a better job than me, for sure. But you're right, the younger people are getting there much quicker. So it's a little bit of all of the above. When you're starting your business from scratch, relationships are always going to be important, and working super hard and finding money. Because if you can do those things and leverage what's online, all the videos, all the relationships, I just think leveraging that information is powerful. I think you said it really well.
And I think too, like, a lot of people say it's really risky to start a business, but when you have all those resources for free, what's the risk? Like, learning as much as you can, there's no risk in that. Maybe your first deal is a little risky, but having all that extra knowledge for free eliminates a lot of the risk too.
Sure.
When starting a business from scratch, there are a lot of obstacles that can get in the way, a lot of risk involved, like I just mentioned. There's trials and things that can hurt you, make you stop, make you quit, make you fail, but also things that can really propel you. So in that beginning stage of starting a business, what do you think were some of the big obstacles you faced, and how would you overcome them?
Look, I think, I hit obstacles, but I feel like as I see people have success, the bigger obstacles are people who are waiting to accomplish something before they do the next thing. Meaning, like I said before, getting a real estate license before they do real estate, or buying this course. I think that's one of the other things I think is interesting is people feel like they've got to go spend a ton of money on education and content when it's already out there. Now, I am all about spending money on yourself and also on educating yourself in different areas and having boardrooms and masterminds. I do that. I spend tens of thousands of dollars every single year on bettering myself in business and being around in the right circles. But I also feel like if you don't have any money or very little money, there's places you can go online and get a lot of education. So I'd say that's that's definitely one. But I'd say like one of the hurdles that I had, and that I think a lot of people have, is when they first get started, they have a few options. Meaning, I'm going to do real estate. I got my job over here. I also might start a mortgage company. And I get these 2 or 3 or 4 ideas. Or I might do like this, online, I'm going to be an influencer, or what, you name it. But what I did personally is I had a few options to success. Why? Because I was stressed out. I was barely married, had you, and I was like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, I'll do this. And if this doesn't work, I'll do this. So I had 3 things going. So having a plan A over a plan B, or having 2 plans, is not the ideal scenario, which I had probably 3 plans. Most entrepreneurs, even entrepreneurs my age or older, I noticed have several plans. As soon as I narrowed down my options, I made way more money. And so I've always thought if you have a plan B, that means your plan A is not going to work. It's not. Or it's going to work at half the level it probably could work at. And so I think if you have a plan A, and it's going to be real estate, or it's going to be building your business, or whatever it is that you want to do, go in 100%.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake I had, because by doing 3 things at one time throughout my 20s, everything was just okay. I made good money, but I could have made way more money if I was laser focused in my place. And look, when you start, depending upon where you're at, it's okay to have a few different ideas. So I'm not saying, because you're 21, you might not know exactly what you want to do yet.
Yeah.
And so the quicker you can get to just a plan A, the better. That's all.
I like that.
So you're still early on here. So I don't know if you have anything you want to share as far as like what to avoid, because you just started in the last year, right?
Yeah.
Your business. Is there anything that you've learned that is a pitfall, or something that maybe held you back, or that hurt you a little bit in the first year?
I'm in the scratch of building my business, so this is an interesting topic today. But I don't know if I've had any huge pitfalls. More so, I have had some learning experiences from learning, like from the example of you and other mentors. And I think what I was just thinking about is partnering with the correct people and being careful about it. Because when you're starting a business, you're both just super excited to start a business. You're both friendly. You're both ready to go. You're hustling, and you haven't experienced a hard time together or a bad deal together, and so you don't know how that person's going to react. And so that was something I've been thinking about this year, is partnering with the right people who will build a business with you forever, and who can actually really do it with you. And so I haven't experienced that downfall yet, luckily, but I've been careful when selecting that so that I can be more prepared for when that time comes, or even picking the right partner and getting rid of them early on, where I know it could not work out later on because of what I've experienced with them so far. But yeah, go for it.
You just reminded me of something. Actually, it's a great example. When I started my first couple businesses, this is definitely a pitfall I think many people have, is I started a business with someone that I liked a lot, that worked hard, that was just like me. We got along. We felt the same motivation and spirit of how we're going to create our business and build it together. He was a marketer and I was a marketer. We were salespeople to our core.
Yeah.
The one piece of advice I'd have on this subject when you get started is partner with people who have different strengths than you. I think you just remind me of that. I love that you just shared that, because you're like, so when you find someone who is good at something, if you're not good at raising money or building relationships, you need a partner just like that.
Yeah.
If you're not good at like finding the deals, you find a partner like that. So find partners or partnerships where you're weak and that you bring value to, because it goes both ways. If you don't bring value to that person, then you're of no value to him. So I would say that, and then I'd say also, when you create your operating agreements, I've been burned before, and I didn't read them. So prepare your documents and read them as though you're going to break up. And if you start that way, and you can make it very amicable, and you definitely want your documents to be up front, like, hey, Carson, I love you. We're going to do a deal together or a company together. And of course we don't plan on breaking up, but if we do, let's determine today what that looks like and how we break up. It's a hard conversation. I didn't have those when I first started my first business. We just had operating agreements, and all I cared about was the interest. What's my percentage? Like, how much do I own of this? We didn't talk about anything else really in the operating agreement. So make sure that you have a good, clean partnership. That'd be advice as well.
That's interesting, because I feel like that's what I thought of, is when I see the agreements, okay, what percent do I own? So that's a good point. Yeah. I like that.
All right, so as we wrap up this podcast, a couple of like final thoughts that I have is really for people that are starting a business, whatever it may be. I met, like if you're doing makeup or tattoo artist, whatever it is, it's really about being passionate about what you're doing and having a real purpose. And I know it seems like a simple thing, but it should be a reminder every day you wake up, every day you go to bed, that what your purpose is and your determination to beat everybody else. That's how I got started. I was like, I've got to beat my competitors. I got to be better, faster. I got to be nicer, build more relationships. And so I'm a competitor. I want to be better. And even today, I remember, your mom, phenomenal person, but I remember her once, she was saying, hey, I don't need you to work more. I don't need a new car. I'm good with a minivan. Just be home more. Yeah. And in my early years, she was right. I'm sure she had a lot of pressure having all the kids home. But what I can tell you today is it really wasn't about that. I was a fierce and am a fierce competitor. And I was determined to keep getting better. And I do think there's always this work-life balance that we've talked about. Yeah. But I would say whatever you choose to do as you start your business from scratch, have only one option, plan A, and go kick ass and find the right relationships.
Yeah, that's great. So to finish up with my sweet sound service for today, all right. I'd say start with my service. This morning Anna went surfing, and so when she came back, she needed to change and head out to somewhere else. I forget where she was going, but she left some stuff behind. And so on my way here to come meet with you, I went and dropped that stuff off for her and then came over here. So she didn't need it 100%, but I just wanted to make sure she had what she needed. So nice. I went and dropped that off for her. And then my sweet and sour, kind of a dull workout this morning. So I feel like I've had a slower day.
I don't know, it's real life stuff. But all right, start over on your
sour.
Yeah.
Sour, yeah. So I'd say my sour for today was having a slow morning routine. I didn't get up as early as I wanted to, didn't work out as hard as I wanted to, and so my day's been kind of like a lull, but it is what it is. And then sweet, I would say, is this weekend I'm going to my friend's wedding, and we're gonna have a fun 3 days at a cabin up for a bachelor party, so I'm super excited about that.
Nice. As we always end sweet sour service, I would say my sweet was having we have Edwin here who cooks some phenomenal meals, and so Edwin is here to do that for us. It's always helpful every once in a while, so that was definitely a sweet. My sour was my day was really full very empty as far as the calendar goes, and somehow this whole morning's been, I feel, double booked and packed. Yeah. And then I would say my service is, I'll use yesterday. I actually had a good service yesterday. I was coming back from surfing, and there's these two, it was kind of about a half a mile away from the beach to the house. I was on an electric bike, which was cool, but there's these two girls that were walking, and they had some heavy boards. They looked like they were waterlogged boards in each arm, taking it on this long walk. And I said, hey, I'll take the board, put it on my bike, and I'll drop it off at the top of the hill. And I think they were very happy. So that was my service of the day.
That's awesome.
And always looking forward to these podcasts with you, Carson. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you. See you guys next time.